Hey guys, Luke here. I'm here to do a preview for round 24 of the 2015 NRL Premiership season. Now, I've only got a few rounds to go, 3 rounds exactly, and a lot of top 8 spots up for grabs, particularly down at the bottom, and top 4 sort of like nearly wrapped up, but not quite, but I'd say Rabbitohs can go a long way into securing it. But anyways, let's get into this round. So we're going to start with the Dragons and the Panthers. You can see the team lineups here. Thanks to Fox Sports actually getting their team lineups done this week. So who do I think is going to win? Well, I mean, if these are both the sides that are coming into the game, there's no more people pulling out or anything, I've got to go with the Dragons just because I think they've got a lot more to play for. Obviously, just in the 8 against Panthers, who are sort of, you know, towards the bottom. Not in the greatest of form. They're not playing absolutely terrible. And I'd say while Soward's in the side, they've got a chance of winning. I thought Moylan might be back this week. Obviously not. Josh Mantle, if he gets in and does a lot of runs, he can be quite damaging. They've got a lot of good players, Panthers, but just can't put it together this year, obviously due to injuries. But yeah, Dragons themselves had quite a few injuries, and I don't think their backline is very impressive at all. Apart from Dugan, it's not really that great. Halves, if they can get their shit together, they're good. Benji can be great on his day, and with it being a little bit hot and cold this year, but yeah, on their day they can be very, very good. And you just got to go with the Dragons. They're not going to be having Jack DeBell on a halfback this week, let's put it that way, so that's a huge plus for them. Also, what the hell's gone through their coach's head? That was the worst decision ever. Got a halfback on the bench, what the hell. Anyways, Dragons, I'm going to say 1-12 because I don't think they'll put on a lot of points, but I think they'll get the win. Anyways, a really exciting game up next for me. Rabbitohs taking on the Bulldogs. Now, from a Bulldogs supporter's perspective, this game is kind of not a grudge match because obviously I don't have a huge rivalry with Rabbitohs or anything, but it's more of just a test. It's another test for us to try and prove that, you know, we're the real deal this year and that we've got a little bit of form. I mean, against Broncos, we rolled them. Probably not going to be able to do it this time. I mean, Souths don't have the best pack this year, but you know, obviously no slashes either. Sutton moves back into the halves. Interesting to see if he actually plays, and I'd really love Josh Morris to just own Arvour or someone like whoever's on his side. I just love to see them destroy them. In terms of who I think is going to win, obviously it's going to be the Bulldogs, but the reason I think they're going to be able to do it is I think we've just got a more complete side. Rabbitohs, you know, obviously got Inglis, Dylan Walk's back in, you know, halves are pretty good, but I think you look at the Bulldogs side and, you know, we're a pretty all-round side. There's not too many weaknesses on paper. Obviously the right edge defense isn't great, but I think we can overcome that. They seem to be getting a little bit better week by week. Laffey didn't have a terrible game last week, and Sam Parrott, not great, but you know, he's doing the job, I suppose. And that's just pretty much my reasoning for it. I think, well, to be honest with you, I'm interested to see the hooker battle, considering both these guys haven't really played. Paul Carter actually started out sort of at the Bulldogs, didn't play first grade, but played 20s and reserve grade and that sort of stuff. So I'd say he might have a point to prove. It's a little bit debatable whether he's actually going to play, because McInnes keeps getting talked about. But yeah, anyways, Damien Cook hopefully can do the job and rip in and be a little bit like Jake Granville. So yeah. Anyways, moving on to Sharks and the Tigers. So I'm just going to say straight from this game, I'm going to say Sharks are going to win. I think they'll win pretty easily. I think, obviously, Tigers, once again, they're another team on their day, can obviously run right, especially Brooks and Moses. If they're kicking games on, they can be very, very damaging, but apart from that, not very much. Tapau sort of cooled down a lot, maybe getting on the footy show, and that's not the best thing he should be doing, but it is what it is, he's doing that. And yeah, Tedesco will have to carry them, to be honest with you. Also, Woods will have to make a lot of meters, but I can see Sharks bouncing back after their huge loss to the Storm. They're never in it. Yeah, I'm going to see Sharks hitting back. Probably helps them this week that Ben Barber actually isn't on the bench. I think they've sort of been trying to force his way into the side, and I just don't know. I don't think you can carry Barber on the bench coming into the finals, to be totally honest with you. You can't be taking off your fullback and wingers and stuff. It's just a wasted interchange. But yeah, I'm going to say Cronulla. I'm going to say they're going to win 13+. I think they'll be way too good. I'd say Jack Bird might have a good game here. Moving on to Warriors and the Cowboys. Should be a very interesting game in the sense that the Warriors, they're at home. We know how hot and cold they are. But the Cowboys also, not in a slump obviously, but they've sort of been dying down a little bit. The hype's sort of gone. They lost their winning streak. Not to say that they haven't been playing terrible, just not not quite up to scratch compared to what they were previously in the season, but that was always going to happen. There was always going to be a little of a dry spell. You can't keep winning forever, especially coming into a final. You need to have a few losses just to remind you that, losing's a possibility. Who do I think is going to win? I'm going to say Cowboys. I think they'll be way too strong. As long as Thurston or Morgan have a half decent game, they should be able to outplay Townsend. And but for Warriors, no Vadavai this week. Jonathan Wright on the wing. I feel for you Warriors fans. But Tompkins really needs to step up this week, I think, for them to be any chance. And Hurrell on the bench, and I don't know what are they doing. I don't know what they're doing with Hurrell. Anyways, I'm going to say 13 plus for the Cowboys. Moving on to Roosters and Broncos. Now this could be, you could argue this is match of the round as well. It's a huge clash. Is it 1v2, I think? Or maybe 2v3. It's a top of the table clash basically. And Roosters probably the form team of the comp at this stage, up against Broncos, who aren't really in form at all. I know they flogged the Dragons last week, but I mean any half decent side would have flogged the Dragons last week considering their lineup. But before that they got beat by Bulldogs, beat by Manly. I can only see one winner from this, and that's going to be the Roosters. I think Broncos 4-pack just isn't aiming up enough, and I can just see Warringah Hargreaves in the form he's been in, just absolutely rolling Broncos. This is going to be ugly, I think, for the Broncos forwards. I may be wrong. I probably will be wrong, but that's just the way I see it happening. And if two of us can find a little bit of form, he's making a few silly errors lately. If he can just sort of stop that, I think they should be all sweet. I'm going to expect a Roosters win 13 plus. Moving on to Titans and the Raiders. Now, this should be an entertaining game. Obviously, in terms of top 8, it doesn't really affect too much. Sending Raiders lost last week unfairly in my eyes, but it is what it is. Titans were okay in stages against the Bulldogs. I mean, they tried hard. James Roberts, I don't know what to think of him. Obviously, he's got the speed. He's got a brilliant try last week, but he also does some really stupid stuff, like the try that he sort of let in, like the little throwback in. Like, why go for that? I don't know. I mean, I suppose there's not too much he actually could have done, but at the same time, be a little bit more careful. But if he gets a little bit of space, he should have a bit of a field day if he's up against, I don't know, Leilua. Croker's not exactly the best defender. The Raiders, like I said, I think they got a little bit hard done by last week. Obviously, Stewart was offside. I called it at the time as well. A bit of a shame referees didn't call it, but obviously they've got a great side. Rapana probably should have contested, but whatever. Seeing as everybody else got off on their shoulder charges. I do think the Raiders will win this one, just due to the fact that their side's, not all over the shop. I mean, Titans have got Hoffman and Mortimer in the halves, which, I mean, Caesar kind of helped. Well, without Caesar, Titans probably would have got flogged by even more. His kicking game is very, very important. And a little bit of shame for Raiders fans not to get a look at Caesar one last time before he actually joins them. But like I said, I think Raiders is just going to be way too strong. I'm going to say 13 plus victory for the Raiders. I think they'll bounce back well after last week's disappointing defeat. Oh yeah, 13 plus. Also, Seagulls taking on the Eels, which it's traditional sort of rivalry. Not really a rivalry in terms of teams winning games or anything, because Seagulls just been absolutely dominant for a long time now. Eels don't generally win too many of these fixtures, but I mean, maybe it might change. Probably not. A little bit disappointing. Watmo's injured. Would have been interesting to see him back at Brookvale, but not meant to be. Kieran Foran taking on his future side, so that should be a little bit interesting there. In terms of who I think is going to win, I think Eagles will absolutely flog the Eels, just due to the fact that they've got an 8 spot. They're in pretty good form. They've been getting quite lucky week after week. I mean, last week, obviously, the Raiders, the week before that, they scored a few lucky tries, like the one with the line kicking it back in. But sometimes you create your own luck. I mean, they still had to make that break for Stewart to get involved in, and they didn't give up. Brent Lawrence on the extended bench, maybe a chance of playing, maybe not, I don't know. But if they can get him back into the side, I'd say they will. But yeah, I can just see Eels side. I just don't think it's good. Apart from, I like Corey Norman, that's about it, and Mara and Ma'u. Those three are okay. The rest, not so much. Oh, Robinson as well, maybe. Oh, and Raja. There's a lot of players that I didn't realise. Well, I knew they were in the side, but anyways, let's get off that. 13 plus, Seagulls. Last game of the round, it's a Storm taking on the Knights, and Storm being in very, very good form lately. Munster's just coming to his own. Really, there's a lot of talk saying about what are they going to do with Slater. I mean, obviously Slater's going to come back in does Blake Green drop out and Munster go to the halves or something? I don't really know, but Munster probably be getting fed up sitting in reserve grade once Slater comes in, because this Munster looks like a real talent. In terms of who's going to win, I think Storm are going to win this one very, very easily. Although Knights won last week, they weren't particularly great, and I think Storm will just absolutely put the sword in. Will win by plenty, I reckon. And especially after their big win against the Sharks, Knights should be nothing. Anyways, that's where the video is going to end. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you can leave a like, be very much appreciated. Subscribe to my channel. Check out my other videos, my Rugby League Live 2, Rugby League Live 3 videos. And like I said, like and subscribe, comment your predictions, and follow me on Twitter at Mr. Luke and YT. And I'll see you next time. Bye!